Hello, everybody. Happy New Year, and welcome back to my weekly astrological and energy forecasts. So, in these sessions, what we take a little look at is the energy of the season, the energy of the phase of the moon, the astrological energy of the week, and how they all layer on top of each other to create our experience of the week, and the energy that we have to work with. Then we can be more intentional and also understand what's influencing us and how best to work with that energy. So this is a little bit of an interesting week. It's a little bit of a stop-start week. So there is energy moving us forward, and there's also energy trying to keep us present and still introspective. So there's a little bit of a contrast going on. So we're in a first quarter moon phase, which is the first quarter moon phase after the new moon phase is about taking action. The new moon phase is quiet and introspective, and it's about dreaming in something new. And then after the new moon, which happened on the 30th of December, then we start to get a bit of a building of energy towards that first quarter. And that's really where we start to build momentum, we start to take action, and we start to see the fruits of the seed, not the fruits, the shoots, and like the real growth of the seeds that we planted at the new moon. So there's that forward moving energy that we have with us. However, there is also a little bit of a change of tone coming this week, and also a couple of potential points of friction. So there may be some challenges that come up this week as well. So we've got that first quarter moon that wants us to progress and move forward. We also have Mercury moving from Sagittarius, where it's making a bit of a hazy square with Neptune again at the end of the week, at the beginning of the week, on Wednesday, moving into Capricorn. So suddenly we're going to get some clarity, some mental clarity, some ability to, again, to plan and kind of see the future a bit more clearly, how we want to move forward. So we've got that first quarter moon, that Mercury moving into Capricorn, bringing clarity and some energy and momentum. But then we still have Mars that's retrograde. So Mars is ingressing back into Cancer from Leo, still moving backwards in the sky until the 23rd of February. So there'll be a bit of a change in tone in that Mars retrograde that we've been talking about in the last couple of updates. But it's still gonna be very, very active. So there's that real sense of like Mars is our physical energy. It's how we take action. It's how we move forward in life, right? It's like our drive. So when that is backwards, then there sometimes is frustration because we're trying to move things forward and we're kind of trying to move against the current a little bit. So that changing signs this week is kind of going to bring that to the forefront again, that energy. So we've got that forward moving energy from the moon and the mental clarity from Mercury, but then we've got this Mars energy that's kind of moving backwards, and Mars is a stronger planet than Mercury, so you will probably feel that experience quite a bit more. And we are now in full swing of the winter season as well. So winter season is all about stillness, introspective, it's very reflective, it's about nourishment and really kind of like gaining energy so we can take that leap forward in the spring. So, you know, there's often conditioning around, you know, new year, new me, setting new intentions, leaping into something new. But winter is very much about being still and actively nourishing and nurturing yourself so you have the energy to actually penetrate and push through in the spring and actually achieve the things that you want to. So there's a real kind of dreamy, soft energy to the winter where it's really magical. There's less energy around, so things are quieter. You can hear your intuition more. So there's a real potential to kind of turn inward here. And again, that Mars is also kind of sending us backwards as well. So it might feel difficult to move forward in certain areas of life. With that Mars retrograde as well, might bring up challenges that were present in the autumn. We're going to get into that in a little bit more detail. So that might be the point of friction this week. However, there's a really, really, really positive transit coming up in June, which is going to kind of help us to reap the rewards of the work that we're going to put in now. So again, there's never good or bad in astrology. There's always, everything is always happening for a reason, to push us in a certain direction, or to kind of help us to grow in some way. So yes, there may be points of friction this week. However, they are for our highest good, and we'll see the benefits of that as we move into June. And then again, we also have the nodes of fate changing signs this week. So they've been in Aries and Libra for the last 18 months, and they're now moving into Virgo and Pisces. So there's a real shift in tone. We might have got a bit of an echo of this in September with that first Pisces eclipse that we've had in that series. but we're really starting to feel a little bit of a collective shift of like, okay, this is the direction we're moving in collectively now, and also in our personal lives as well. So real mishmash of energy this week. So, you know, with the practices that I've recommended for people who are on the membership, and also the journal prompts that we're going to put into this week, are a lot about getting very quiet, tuning in and checking into where your energy is leading you, because you know you better than anyone else. There is a bit of a push-pull, and you will be able, if you're checking in and you're listening and paying attention, you'll be able to know where your energy is calling you to move forward and where it's drawing you back. You can also look at your birth chart for this as well. And if anyone needs any help in locating where certain things are in their birth chart, then please do give me a shout, because I'm really happy to help you out and point you in the right direction. So that was a bit of a long intro, but let's get into breaking down like the astrological highlights of this week. So on Monday, the 6th of January, which is today, Mercury in Sagittarius is squaring Neptune in Pisces. Now, we've had a little bit of back and forth of this quite a lot, because Mercury has was retrograde in December. So it's kind of gone forward past Neptune, gone back past Neptune, and now it's moving forward past Neptune for one final time. So there's been a lot of activity in this area of the zodiac. Mercury has been here for a while. And it's really finishing up its journey. So it's in the last couple of degrees of Sagittarius, and it's going to enter Capricorn, as I mentioned before, on Wednesday. So there might be a bit of a sense of haze and fogginess at the beginning of the week. Things will become clearer, and there'll be a little bit more energy and mental clarity with you as we move forward on Wednesday. Now, as I mentioned again before, so Mars is now retrograding back into Cancer. So it's stationed retrograde in Leo at about 6 degrees of Leo. It's gone backwards through Leo, and it's going to finish up its retrograde in Cancer before stationing direct on the 23rd of February, and then it will recover all the ground that it retrograded over, and then move on from that point. So there is a real sense of revisiting now, because Mars has already covered this area of your chart. It's now moving backwards, and because it's shifting signs, this Mars retrograde is going to take a slightly different shift in tone, right? It's gone from fiery, vibrant, you know, forward moving, egotistical Leo to sensitive, soft, slightly passive aggressive, sometimes Cancer. And Mars does not like to be in Cancer. It's in its fall in Cancer, which is it's basically I guess the most sticky place for Mars to be, right? So it's going to be retrograde until the 23rd of February, and it's probably going to bring up some themes from the autumn. So anything that was happening, it's really helpful to look at your astrological birth chart to see what area of life this fell in for you. So for me, it's in 7th house of relationships. So I know if Mars is revisiting areas of my chart, then it's going to bring up themes that were present around relationships in the autumn time that maybe have lessened off a little bit. They might become back into prominence over the next couple of months. So it's really helpful to have a look. Yours might be in the house of finances, the house of self, the house of health. There's lots of different areas of life this could be impacting for you personally. If you do have any planets or points in the last few degrees of Cancer and early few degrees of Leo, or any of the fixed or cardinal signs, then you might also be getting this transit hitting you a little bit more personally than it would someone who doesn't have any planets or points in those areas of your chart. And again, if you want any guidance or help understanding that, please just drop me a message. So yeah, Mars really doesn't love to be in Cancer, and Mars brings heat, it brings aggravation. And because it opposed Pluto last week as well, it's still working with that Pluto energy. Pluto kind of is a power player. It kind of excavates, it destroys, and in order for things to transform, right? So there's still this there's an intensity to this transit, and it is really cause for aggravation and excavation to kind of address things. Things are going to come to the surface at this time. Mars is heat. Mars brings directness in an area of your chart with Cancer, which is very indirect and sideways kind of moving. So what is coming up right now is asking to be transformed. What is present in your life, particularly in the areas of life that this is falling for you in your birth chart, this is the area of life that's asking for transformation. It's asking for your attention, and it's asking for you to put in the work. And when you do, when Jupiter then moves into Cancer in June this year, it's kind of going to clean up all the mess that Mars made. and it's gonna, like Jupiter, the planet of luck, growth, optimism, abundance, is gonna kind of come in and bring positivity and growth and opportunity to the area of life that you are asked to be putting in the work in now. So, you know, when we see challenge in this area, it's not kind of life working against you, it's an opportunity that is beginning to kind of surface, I guess. So please pay attention. If you're noticing anything sticky in life, if things are feeling tense, you're being asked to really look at this and really take ownership of this at this time. Just be aware that Mars can bring excess anger and excess heat. So do be aware of that. And what I would say is kind of be a bit more mindful of entering into direct fiery conflict, or kind of watch your behavior if it's becoming reactive. That may have negative consequences. It's about being mindful, okay, there's tension here, how can we address this, but trying to keep a bit of a cool head about it and not kind of charging in headfirst without thinking it through. If you're noticing that reactivity coming up, that's probably Mars working with your chart, heating things up where maybe it, so please be mindful of that. Yes, you're being asked to put in the work, but it doesn't have to be with that out of balance Mars energy of anger, you know, that warlike kind of energy that it can bring, as opposed to directness, assertiveness, that ability to penetrate and actually get to the core of things, which is what Mars is really good at, because it's not going to scuttle off to the side or be indirect or passive aggressive. Mars is going to come at you, right? So, you know, pay attention to these opportunities, but also be mindful of how you're entering into them. So moving on Wednesday, the 8th of January, as I've mentioned, we've got Mercury moving into Capricorn. Capricorn energy is productive, it's organized, it's ambitious, it likes a plan, it likes a long-term plan. So I feel like with this kind of Mercury going back and forth, being in Sagittarius, squaring Neptune, Mercury does not like to be in Sagittarius. Mercury thrives in Gemini, which is like facts, information. It's things that are truth, right? Whereas Sagittarius is almost like, you know, it's based on religion, philosophy. There's no fixed truth. There's many truths. And Mercury does a lot better in a structure, or almost like a more hard-cold fact kind of environment. So from it moving into this kind of haziness and like lack of clarity with this Neptune square as well into Capricorn, there might be a sense of relief and the ability to kind of see things clearly, and also feeling like you can really see, okay, here's the potential now, this is what I want to move forward on. So keep that in mind for this week, if you feel the shift in tone, but really tune in and pay attention to what your body is communicating to you, because your mind may be clear, but your body might be working against you in a way, because it might want to winter, go still. That Mars, that physical energy, is moving backwards, not forwards. So the momentum, you might have the mental clarity, but the physical momentum might not be there yet, and that is okay. There is a reason for that. So sometimes it's better to sit with the clarity and let it evolve. However, if you are feeling energized, if you're feeling ready to go and your body is communicating that to you, please go for it. There's no black or white with these transits. That's why we're kind of encouraging this week for you to really drop in and tune in and get present and connected, because that will be your guide. So on Saturday, the 11th of January, we have the nodes of fate moving from Aries and Libra into the signs of Virgo and Pisces. So the North Node is moving from Aries. It's our future collective destiny. It's where we're headed. It's where we're being pushed to grow into. It's moving from Aries to Pisces. And then the South Node, which is our karma, our past lives, where we've been, what we're moving away from, what we want less of, is moving from the sign of Libra into the sign of Virgo. So this is a little bit of a, yes, it's going to bring a change of tone. And when you look at this more personally in your birth chart, these are areas of life that you've been pushed to grow into at the moment. So for example, for me, my North Node has been in Aries, which is my 4th house, and my South Node has been in Virgo, which is my 10th house. So this period of this last 18 months has been all about growth in the area of home and family, and less of a focus on career. So that's quite interesting, because at this time I've been doing a lot of renovations on my house, and that has been a lot of a focus. And actually it can be really helpful to look at the last 18 months and what that brought up in those areas, because you may have similar themes as this now transitions into a new area of life of your chart. And it's really, this is where you're being called to focus, pay attention. So we got a little bit of a flavor of what these eclipses, like, so when the nodes are present in certain signs, that's where the eclipses happen. We have 2 eclipse seasons a year, when the sun and the moon are luminarying, that's not a word, but we're going to go with it anyway, at near close to the nodes. So when the nodes move into a sign, the eclipses then activate them. So even though the nodes are moving signs, we're not going to really see the full story of this playing out until we start to get eclipses in these signs. And that's really where we'll see, okay, this is what this is about. So we had our first Pisces eclipse in September, which is almost like a precursor to what these next 18 months are going to be about. And then in April, we're going to have our first Virgo eclipse. And then in September, then we're fully in the Virgo Pisces eclipses that will be happening alternately from that point onwards. So there may be something that happened around September, particularly in the area of life that these the nodes are sitting at the moment in Virgo and Pisces, that may have kind of come to the surface, or like began, like almost like something new that began at that time. The eclipses can bring sudden change and transformation, so it could have been something that was quite sudden, out of the blue, something very new. So pay attention to those things, because they might start to come into a lot more prominence now the nodes are fully into these signs. The North Node is like, so in myth, the North Node is the head of the dragon and the South Node is the tail of the dragon. So the North Node is kind of like insatiable, and it's chasing, and it's really pushing us towards kind of, it gives us a hunger for something. Whereas the South Node, it's not a focus, it's the thing we're moving away from. So there may be more of a focus on Pisces themes collectively now. We've kind of shifted as well. So Pisces energy is compassionate. It is, it's bigger picture. It's not as focused on the details. It's a bit dreamier. It's kind of focused on spirituality, or it can be. With this, what's quite interesting is we've had Saturn transiting through Pisces, and we're going to get, it's going to leave Pisces in May and move into Aries, and then it'll pop back into Pisces and it'll finish up its journey. So I feel like whatever challenges Saturn has been bringing to that Pisces area of your chart is going to become a lot more prominent. It's going to become, that's not the right words I'm looking for. So whatever challenges Pisces Saturn's been bringing for you in Pisces, I feel like this North Node transit is now going to kind of come up along behind it and clear things up and kind of bring that period of growth after the challenges. So that's quite an interesting shift. So there still will be some challenges in that area of life, particularly for a little while, until Saturn fully finishes its journey, and then the nodes will be present there and they'll kind of finish that off. So again, just something to be mindful of, something to pay attention to, definitely something to have a look at. We're moving away from those more Virgo themes of focusing on the details. So, you know, getting into the nitty gritty, kind of focusing on like the hard cold facts, the science. And Pisces is way more bigger picture than that. It's creative. It's so much less focused on these kind of like, okay, these are the exact steps to get there. Pisces is compassionate. It can dream and it can see the bigger picture. So it's really going to be a very interesting shift. And definitely one to watch out for, especially as we get into the spring and the autumn with those eclipses. So I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to touch on for today. For those of you who are members, so we've popped in for the practices of this week. A couple of there's a really nice meditation to ground and transition in times of change. I feel like with a slight shift in tone, and also the little bit of like kind of like opposing energies that we have going on this week, that can be a really great session to help you tune in. We also have an energy techniques session to ground and connect with your inner guidance as well. So kind of getting quiet, really listening and allowing your body to guide you, especially again with these kind of opposing energies that we have kind of going through this week. And then finally, we have a really, really nice bladder and energy medicine yoga session, which we're recommending this week. And that is really working with the bladder meridian in the body, which is most activated at the time of winter. So it's about deep nourishment, deep rest, and how to kind of get your system behind what the energy is calling you to do at this time, so it can help you get really quiet, tune into your intuition, which is really beneficial, particularly for this week, and also really deeply nourish your energy system and kind of switch that online. So really, really nice practices. I'm going to also pop some journal prompts on for those of you who are members to kind of start exploring some of these themes. And then we also have our new moon coaching call for those of you who are members tomorrow night at 7:30 as well. So in that session, we're going to go deep into the topic of wintering, focusing around like different fears that maybe come up at this time, how to address those, particularly around like what language you're using. And we'll also have an opportunity to do a bit of sharing as well, to kind of discuss the things that we brought up and share any intentions that we want to set for the month ahead. I was doing it a little bit late this year, obviously, just because the new moon was in the winter break. So I think that's everything I wanted to cover. There was a lot. I felt like I spoke incredibly fast then. Again, if anyone wants to have a reading with me to look ahead for 2025, please do book. I'll leave a link below, or if you're on Instagram, the link will be in the bio. I'm doing 20% off readings at the moment with the code Winter Solstice 2024, all capital letters. So please do book a reading if you're interested. Do go into detail about where you're at in your life on the booking form, because the more information you give me, the more personalized of a reading I can provide for you as well. So please kind of, break it down if you can, do a little bit of prep, give me a bit of background, because that will really, really help me make sure the reading is really targeted to your needs and what you're looking for. So I hope everybody enjoyed that. If anyone's got any questions, then please do send them over. I love questions. And I will see you next week in the next forecast. Lots of love. Bye-bye.